Ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment you've been waiting for. It's a conversation that must be had today and not tomorrow. Welcome to another episode of I'm Listening, I'm Ready with your host, Andrew E. Guy. Let's talk about it. And I have an amazing guest. We're talking. Do you hear the knowledge that she is throwing? I hope you're a baseball player and you got your mittens on tight because she's throwing them left field, center field, right field. You better go deep for this one because Rosita Hall is throwing down. Please, she's going to be swinging. There's a lot more to come. And so what I want to do right now, for those of you guys who are tuning in because you really come to get some nuggets from her, I'm going to make sure I put in some questions that will be able to answer some of those questions or itches that you have so you can scratch them, all right? So you get something, because that's what the podcast is about. Help you to move you from where you are to where you need to be. Not where you want to be, where you need to be. So, Rosita, I want to ask you, for those people that are thinking about getting into your field, speaking, what's an advice that you would give them? Where would they start? What's the best place to start?
Well, for me, what really worked was being a part of the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers.
Yes.
I met some wonderful individuals there, and I mentioned earlier in the show that I actually connected with Rosita Perez, who was with the National Speakers Association. And for me, it was like that fuel that you need when a plane's taken off. That's when you need the greatest, amount of energy and to rise. And so for me, being a part of that organization was incredible because they taught me, things about platform mechanics, how to turn speaking into a business,
yes.
How to set your speaking fees, how to connect with other resources in the community. So I would say number one would be the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers.
Right.
Number two, to reach out to some other speakers. And I do believe that there are some out there who would be willing, who have open doors, who have kind hearts, who would be willing to encourage you. And I had that myself in Rosita Perez. So reach out to people who have done what you've already done. And the third thing I would say is make sure that you know what it is that you want to do. And so I go back again to walking in your authentic space.
Correct. Love it.
Understanding who you are and what is it that you're bringing to other people, because it's not so much that, I just want to go out and speak. Well, yeah, I know you want to go out and speak because you love being on the platform and all that kind of stuff, right? But the point is you have to have a message. Correct. And you have to have something that's going to have impact and take people from where they are now to another level. So that's really important. And I would say of the three of them, probably that last one is the most important, because that's where you get your start, is to understand why you want to speak in the first place. What is it that you want to speak about, and why should the audience care? Like, why should they care that you show up?
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening and if you're ready, you get it? If you're listening and you're ready, I'm listening and I am ready. So please make sure you're taking some notes, okay? Listen, the information that Rosita is giving you, people pay thousands of dollars just to acquire this information. So what I want you to do is not just listen, but be a doer. Get a paper, get a pencil, and get some paper and make it happen. Okay. So Rosita, you talk about we should know who we are, and I love the upcoming book. Authentic Leaders Rock. You hear what I'm saying? More about that later. You got to talk about that, okay? Because I think that when people are getting to the speaking industry, yes, they hear the hoopla about you can do this and you can go here and they'll travel here and all of these great things. But what they don't talk about, yes, they sell the mountaintop experience, but rarely, very seldom do people talk about the valley experience. Can you talk to us about some of the disappointment that you've had along the way, and how did you recoup from them?
Okay, so one of the first things I have to say before I answer that is one of the things that's helped me in terms of recouping, no matter what kind of day that I'm having, is self-care.
Yes.
I think self-care is critical, no matter what profession you're in, but especially the speaking profession, because you are traveling, you are moving a lot. So you definitely need to have a plan in place. And when I talk about self-care, I'm not talking about a one-off event where you go for a run or you go for a walk. I'm talking about 24/7, 7 days a week self-care. That means everything that you're doing, every conversation that you're having, every movement that you're making, the noise, the conversations, the music you're listening to, how you're responding, it's all impacting you on a cellular level. So we have to really take care of ourselves. So it's a job that we need to be doing 24/7, which means we have to be self-aware and we have to be connecting with ourselves all the time, saying how's this playing out for me? Why did I respond that way? How's it affecting me emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually? So that's piece for me is extremely important. So what have been sort of the lows? I would say there's obviously periods in time where you have to work alone. And that can be really challenging because you don't have, I mean, some people have people in their office working with them. Yes. I don't. I have support from my kids, and I have support from my husband, a person that does my books also, but mostly I'm on my own. Yes. And so there's moments where you're like, wow, I just need to have a conversation with someone. So you need your circle of people around you that you can call and you can connect with and that are going to encourage you and are going to lift you up. I always call them my deep dive friends. People are going to go deep with you and really listen to you and have conversations with you and support you and encourage you along the way. Yes. There's also times where, the business is a little bit slower. I don't know what everybody else's schedule is like, but for me, the summer times are usually a little slower. In fact, a lot slower. And so how do you keep yourself inspired and motivated, especially if you're the kind of person that likes to be on the go and likes to be, on the platform and that kind of thing. And I say, use that time wisely. Use that time to plan for the next year. Use that time to write your books. Use that time to do some self-awareness. Use that time for some more self-care. So that's always a challenge. And I also think that it can be challenging if there's an opportunity that you really wanted and somebody else gets it. That can be a challenge as well. So you really have to just be true to yourself and understand that, like other business, there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, and that you need to prepare yourself for that all the time. And my best solution to preparing yourself is to get a group of great people who are going to be your cheerleaders, who are going to be your mentors, who are going to be your coaches, and to take incredibly, incredibly good care of yourself. And then the other thing I would say to speakers out there is make sure when you're accepting speaking engagements that they're ones that you actually can do, because there's it's easy if you've had a slow period and someone calls and they say, do you do this? Oh yeah, I do it. And you don't really do it. And then it shows on the platform. Trust me, I've been there. And it shows on the platform because you don't really do it. Correct. If you want to really have your greatest impact, if you really want to walk from a place
of the way you said that,
and if you really want to walk from a place of truth and honesty for yourself and others, then make sure you're speaking about the things that you are informed about and that you feel passionate about. Because trust me, you don't want to get caught up in that thing, because I have done that before, and it's not a good place to be.
Speaking of that, I love it, because I remember you reached out to me on LinkedIn and you said, Andrew, this is why you are amazing, okay? Because you're not just looking out for self, and it speaks to your credibility. You said that if it's not something that you do, then you don't really do it, because you can't be a jack of all trades, correct?
No.
And it shows up on the platform. And I remember you reached out to me. I know there was a post about systemic racism, and I responded to the post. Yeah. And that's something that, it gets me going, right? Because I do a presentation called What's in Your Toolbox. It's a corporate workshop that I do for executive staff. And I said, do you know what's in your toolbox? And they're like, what are you talking about? I came in there and I had my tool belt on. They said, you're supposed to have a suit looking nice and dapper. You got what? I had on my tool belt. I got my drill. I got everything inside the box. And I said, okay, fine. Gentlemen, do you know what's in ladies, do you know what's in your toolbox? They were shocked. They was like, okay, well, I think we made a mistake here. Okay, this is not the same guy that was on the website. The purpose of that conversation was to get them to understand that many of these business entrepreneurs or CEOs, they have a business, they have an engine, which are the people that are within their organization, but they don't know what their gifts and specialities are. So what you need to understand is, if you are going to use a tool to carry out a particular function, you have to know what it does. So you have to know what's inside your building, in your department, and then you have to find out how do they work or complement each other. What's in your toolbox? I took out these different things. I took out the saw.
Yep, absolutely.
I took out the measuring tape. I said, you need somebody that's going to measure how long a project is going to take. This person will save you millions of dollars. You don't want somebody who doesn't have a measuring device. Then they will take forever to do a $10,000 job. Could be $10 million. You're like,
exactly.
I got it.
Exactly.
So to add to what you were saying, it's simply this. We need to know exactly what we do. And when we talk about the anti-racism, when you send that link to me and I say, you know what? Yes, I do that, because a lot of people get overlooked because they are screaming, hey, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. But the owners, the CEO, the leaders, upper level, don't know what's in their toolbox, and they're often overlooked, whether it's because of the skin tone, what they look like, complexion, background, all of these different things. So when I come in to talk about anti-racism, I say, you don't really understand diversity and what's in your toolbox. This is why you're missing the big picture and the full capacity of what your company could do. Love it. I love it, Rosie. I love it.
You know, and what I would add to that piece that I said before around making sure that you speak on the subjects which that you're trained in and that you understand and you've researched. One of the things why I know that's important and why I've had such success with that, and I think I said this to you when I spoke to you years ago, Andrew, was that 90% of my business is word of mouth.
Yes.
So when you show up on a platform and you do a great job, people want you back. To the point where I was doing something for administrative professionals in Toronto and had me there for about 4 or 5 times. And finally, I had to say to them, I have nothing else to say. Like, I'm done. Like, I can't come this year. Like, I've done every subject you wanted me to do. I don't have any more. And they were begging me. I go, but I don't, like, I've done everything. Like, is it the same audience? Yeah. Well, I don't have anything else. I can refer you to someone else. And I do that all the time. I always refer, if I can't take it, I always have a list of speakers and I'll say, here's somebody that may be able to do it for you. But the point is, if you do a great job on the platform in terms of advice for other people that want to get into this business, is when you go on that platform, be focused, be present, and do an amazing job, and you'll be guaranteed that somebody there is going to want to connect with you and say, and oftentimes I even get sometimes in conferences where, I've done it, and a woman will call me and say, oh, my husband saw you speaking, and I'm like, oh, that was nice of your husband. She hasn't even been at the conference. My husband saw you speaking and said I should call you because I work for company X, Y, and Z. So just leave everything on the platform when you're there, and the only way you'll be able to do that is if you're being authentic and you do it with a topic that you feel passionate about and you feel ready to do because you're experienced in that area.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to me for the first time, you're listening to Andrew E. Guy on the podcast that's dedicated for those who are on the go. It's an ILIR-Podcast. So let me tell you something. If you're listening and if you're ready, if you want to get into the speaking business, if you want to share your story, your testimony, but at the end of the day, you should want to be a vehicle that's going to take them from where they are to where they need to be. In other words, you must have something. You must have an expertise. Don't just say you want to go. Gone are the days when you can just get up on the stage and just speak and just motivate somebody or just get them hyped. There needs to be an endpoint. There needs to be a takeaway. In other words, you must be solving a problem.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line. If you didn't get anything from what we were talking about, you have to be solving a problem. And that's exactly what it takes. Now, Rose, I got a few questions that I want to knock out here because I know many of the people are asking it. Many of people are looking for it, and they're going to be tuning in just for this, right? Now, what would you say to someone other than starting in the speaking business? What would you say to someone that has a profession, they're in a profession, right? How can they use what they know to leverage that to get into the speaking business? What would you say to that individual?
So it's an individual who's working somewhere else right now.
Let's say a lawyer, a doctor, and so they're trying to figure out how can I use what I do to break into the speaking.
Yeah. Well, that's easy for me because that's exactly what I did. I was in another profession and then got into social work. Got into speaking. So what I was able to do is to look at what was I doing in that organization that would now I'd be able to transfer over onto the platform. So for me in particular, it was, I was doing a lot of work around change. And so I go, yeah, I can speak about change. And then I was in leadership positions. So I go, oh my God, I have so many leadership tidbits, and I love that topic, and I can research it some more.
Yes.
I can speak about teamwork because I put together teams and I work with teams. I can speak about the power of collaboration because I did all of that. So I think you have to go through maybe your job description in terms of what you're doing and say, how can any of this be transferable that I can now take that to the platform? And then I think the best thing to do is to figure out who your audience is going to be first and foremost.
Correct.
A lot of times people forget, they go, I want to speak. I go, well, who are you speaking to? Who do you think would want to hear you? Like who's the people that are going to be there? So once you figure out who the audience is, who I want to speak, because for example, some people say, I only want to speak to women's groups. Okay, well then, there's a certain topics that you're going to do with women's group. I only want to speak with kids. Well then, you got to gear your topic towards the kids if that's what you want to speak about. So I think who's the audience, and then to look at what you're doing, the skills that you have, and how can you leverage those and bring them into the platform and build a message around it.
So I think that how is it applicable? Look inside, again, go back into your toolbox, find out what are some skill set, expertise that you have that you believe are pertinent to solving the problems of the people that you're reaching out to. In other words, so great speaker, Dr. Miles Monroe from Nassau, Bahamas said, listen, every problem is a business, okay? Every problem is a business. And when you start out, you may have to do some free talks. I've done them before, and some I do on a charity basis. I just go out there because it's something that I love to do. And many people say it's giving back. A lot of times you go out there and do a talk, and you realize that there's somebody else in the audience who needs exactly what you have. And even though you were giving it away for free, you weren't really giving it for free. You're really sowing a seed. All right, so keep that in mind if that's what you want to do when you get into the speaking business. Now, Rosie, when we talk about game changer, what was the game changer for you? What was the game changer? I know you mentioned your mentor, but what was the game changer for you?
In terms of
getting into I wouldn't say getting into the business. So now you're speaking, but when did the light go on that I don't want to do anything else for the rest of my life but this? We call that game changer. When did you realize this was it for you?
Well, I've had many things that sort of were like that. That was it for me. But probably it was when my husband came to one of my presentations, and afterwards he walked up to me and he said, "This is exactly where you're supposed to be." And when he said, because he had never heard me speak before, he knew this is what I did for a living and he knew all that. But when he actually came to this event, and my husband's a man of few words, but when he said that, he just looked at me and said, "This is exactly where you're supposed to be."
Confirmation.
That was a game changer for me. And then another time when it was a game changer for me in just a little different way is around, and it really kind of relates to success, was I was doing a presentation and it was on how to become successful. And I don't even know how I got in. This is probably one of those ones where I'm like, how did I get into that one? But I can speak about success. Right. And so what happened was it was a workshop, and the lady called me, a few weeks before the conference, and she said, "Rosita, I don't know what to tell you, but your workshop has sold out and people are on a waiting list." And I said, "Really?" And she said, "Yeah, it's the strangest thing. I didn't know she listed all the topics. She said, I didn't know that one was going to be so popular, but it is." And I said, "Oh, okay." And she said, "I just want to warn you that, you're at capacity," kind of thing. Right. And so when I got there and that afternoon to do my workshop, there was like a lineup outside. And I'm like, why is there a lineup? Because there's only X amount of people that can come into this workshop. Facility,
yes.
Yeah, so there was a number of chairs and people were in there kind of arguing over who's going to sit. And I said, "Oh, hang on a second. Now you have to have such and such a tag to be in my workshop. If you don't have that tag, you have to leave." So people are taking their tags off. People are sneaking in. They were coming from other sessions, bringing their chair in. It was something, I just sat back watching this going, this is crazy. Like this, what is with this? Like, is it this many people don't feel like they know how to create success? Like, this is pretty wild. So I'm watching this. And in my head, I'm like, this is going to be a very interesting session. Like, I think this is going to be a very interesting session. So by the time people all crowded in the room and there were actually people standing, I said, and this wasn't part of what I had planned, I just said, okay, by show of hands, how many people in this room want to live in that great big house that's just so gorgeous that everybody's there. Yep, all the hands go up. Right. How many people want that fancy car? Like how many, yeah, and I'm rounding them up, right? How many people want this? And you want to be able to say, I have this amount of money in the bank so I feel secure. And yeah, and they're just all wound up, right, Andrew? And I'm going, yes. And then I go, so let's talk about this. And let me assure you that I have none of it. And you could have heard a pin drop. Wow. I physically saw the body language change. I saw everything change. So here's what the game changer part was for me. I saw everybody's body change, and it was almost like you just popped that balloon and we have no air left now. And I said, first of all, if we're going to talk about success, as individuals, we need to define what it means to us. Yes. Because success means something different to everybody else. So I'm going to just share with you what success means to me. I said, yes, I'm going to share to you what success means to me. And I wish you could have seen their faces. I go, last night I went home and I had the best sleep. And do you know why I had the best sleep? Because I have the best life. And do you know why I have the best life? Because I have a husband that I've been married to for 38 years and I love and adore him. And you know what else? I have 2 sons, 25, whatever, how old they're at the time, and I love them and they respect me and they honor me and I respect and honor them. Yes. I couldn't think of a better form of success. What kind, for me personally, that's success. Like I have like these 3 men in my life who adore me and I adore them and we have so much fun together. So for me, that's success. If I didn't have that, that would not be success for me because family is everything to me. And if you'd have seen their faces, like, oh my God. So why was that a game changer? Because it reminded me why I got into the speaking business in the first place. It was because I wanted to have impact. It wasn't because I wanted to hear the cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. For some people they do, and I don't judge people for that because that's what they do. Yes. Mine was God gifted me with something and I am to give it back to the world now. If the money comes, yeah, that's good. But that's not why I do it. That's not what is in me. What's in me is that I feel like I have something that I can give to other people to elevate them to a new level. Yes. And so that was a game changer because it reminded me why I came. I don't think the audience realized that, but in that moment, it reminded me, don't forget why you came here in the first place. Stay in a place of humility and understand who you are at the core. Remember that power base? Don't lean away from there because then you get caught up in stuff that is not of you. It may be of someone else and good for them because God knows what he's doing with them. I don't know, but it's not of me. I know what it is he has me doing and why he has me doing it. And I always get a clear message. Don't worry about the other stuff. Just do what I sent you to do. And that's what I do.
You know what, Rosie? It's amazing. Guys, if you're listening, you know, you see my mood just kind of changed a while ago. This is my sponge mood. This is my sponge mode. When I am soaking up as much as I can, when I'm around greatness, when I am in great company, my ears become a satellite. I hope this is why this podcast called I Am Listening, I Am Ready. I didn't just wake up and say this is a name. I mean, this came to me. This is divine stuff. You know, the Lord is saying that he's speaking, but people are not listening. And when I speak, guess what? He said, those who have ears, let them hear. But at the end of it, he said, don't just be a hearer, be a doer. So you got to be listening and you got to be ready to take the action step to change your life. I hope you're listening to this because the thing is that most people just look at the mountain. They don't look at the valley side of things, you know, Rosita. I love what you say. This is a game changer for you because even when I was getting into the speaking business, yes, I was working with students. Yes, I was a professional development trainer for teacher. I didn't see that as speaking. I just loved it. I just said, this is how you connect with your students. This is how you make them feel like they want to be there. This is how you make them feel like, whoa, miss, I love what you're teaching. A standard deviation. How can you get somebody to be excited about math? You let them see that if they go to the bank and they deposited $10 and the banker said, oh, you don't have $0, then that's a reason for them to be excited about it. They want to learn about this thing. Make sure it's pertinent. And so what I have learned is simply this, is that understanding that you have a gift. Again, this is why I had to completely revamp everything I was doing. And for many years, the Lord's asking me, so, well, why are you doing this? What is the purpose? He said, you're here to create an impact. He said, impact is creating a space that somebody else can step into, but they can still be their authentic self without becoming you, and they're still able to share their message. This is what it's about. So he said, there's a 3-part to your program. I said, what is this? And he's talking to me, and I don't know, it's strange, happens when I'm in the shower too, right? So he said, it's where you live, work, and play. I said, okay, come on, Lord, what's going on here? I got out of the shower, I told my wife, I know what I'm supposed to do. Of course, she flipped out. She said, okay, then what exactly? You're supposed to wash the dishes, right?
Wash the dishes, I love that.
Yeah, I said, I'll do that too. But it's helping them to create the greatest impact where they live, where they work, and where they play. And I'm just going to add this because you already talked about it. Everyone thought that it was the things, it was the cars, it was the houses. I was working on a doctorate. And I was so driven. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be this surgeon. I'm going to do this. I was in the program. And then the Lord says, tap, tap, where's your family? My family was in the Bahamas at the time, and I was in Florida working on a doctorate. And he said, no, tap, tap, I think you got it twisted. Go fix your family. And I dropped out of the program. I went to the Bahamas, got my family, got my wife, brought them back to the U.S. And then he said, now you're going to get into teaching. I said, this is not what I signed up for. And then I went and I taught for several years. And the kids that I was teaching, Rosita, they said that they were at-risk students. And they said, they're not at risk. They have the wrong label on them. When I created them, they didn't have a label. I said that they were good. I said everything was good.
Love that.
So you need to go and work your words. And so I keep working the right words. And I saw students standing in the hallway. Rosita, I saw kids were fighting to get in my class. I saw kids who were wearing their hands at their knees saying, no, Mr. Guy said, you can't come into class like that. I had dress police standing at the door defending my class saying, you can't come up in here like that, man. This is Mr. Guy's class. And he said, Mr. Guy, how are you getting to do that? And it led to me receiving Teacher of the Year.
Wow.
I didn't plan for this. This is the testimony that when you go in and he's leading you, he will use your gifts to open doors.
Yes. And I think it's also important, too, when we talk about impact, to know that it doesn't have to be a big wow. No. I mean, having impact on a daily basis could be sharing that smile with that woman walking down the street who has her head down, and you look at her and smile at her, and she needed that smile that day.
Yes.
Like, I think sometimes we always think the only way we can have impact is that we have to be on a platform. It has to be big. It has to be mighty.
Of course not.
It doesn't. It doesn't have to be. And I think that we need more of that, especially in the world that we're living in today. We need more people just going out there having impact. I always say it doesn't have to be a roar. It can be a meow, and you can still have the same impact. Like, I think we have to really look at making a difference, because the thing about speaking for me, whatever it is that I do on the platform, I do off the platform as well. I don't become somebody else when I'm on the platform and then something different when I'm off. People who know me know this is who I am all the time, and this is how I live my life all the time, and there's no disconnect, because that's what authenticity does. It doesn't have these little disconnects all over the place. Authenticity just shows up in full bloom all the time. That's what it is. So you can't, and I always say you can't fake that. Like it is what it is. So I just think making sure that you have those little impacts throughout the day, just that smile at somebody, opening a door for someone, saying hello to someone, just simply being kind to people can be a great way to have impact.
I love what you're saying, and I'm right. The reason why I'm writing it down is because I want to make sure I keep my train of thought.
Yeah.
In the same essence, when the Lord said, this is what's going to be your platform, it comes in three. It's like Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And I was shocked. I was like, okay, you mean I got to go preach to somebody? He said, no, you're not a preacher. He said, many people. He said, every joint supply it. But I send some to be pastors. I send some to be teachers. You are a teacher, right? And so when you're talking about being your 100% self, I tell people, I did this program before. It's called the Pie of Being. And I said, okay, fine. Don't try to be someone else, and you've taken 20 years to be that person, to model yourself after somebody else. And then when you reach at the end of the rainbow of that individual, you realize that's not you. So now it's going to take you 20 more years to get back to start again to becoming you. 40 years have gone, and you're now wondering, where are you supposed to be? So becoming yourself, it takes less energy because you're not switching, trying to become, oh, the famous speaker, and then you got to be the author. You are just you.
Just be you. I mean,
that's what it means.
And it's so easy. It's so easy.
I'm fired up. You hear what I'm saying, Rosita?
I remember a few years ago, my son, I had to have this surgery, right?
Yeah.
And my son was at the hospital with, he goes, Mom, I don't see you getting wound up about this. And I go, no. And then he'd say, Mom, like, I'm watching you. This is just amazing. Like, you're just being you. And I go, well, Josh, I don't know how to be anything else. Like, I wish I did. I wish I could do something else, but I don't know. He goes, wow, that just amazes me, Mom. I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I wish I knew how to do someone else. I don't know how to be like somebody else. I have spent my whole life working on myself so much that I don't know how to be I don't want to be someone else. Like, and I don't get why anybody would want to be someone else when you have this gift that's been given to you, like this uniqueness. It's just you. There's not another you. This is amazing. Like, and look at the power in that. Like, that's a superpower. Like, there's not another soul on this planet like you. Only you. Like, and nobody can do it. And that's the other thing, Andrew, I have to say around speaking, why I've loved the speaking business, is because I've always had support from speakers. And one of the things that I learned in the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers is that it doesn't matter if Andrew and Rosita and Connie and John all speak about the same thing. It doesn't matter. There's no competition because our stories are so different. So the way you would talk about change would be so different than mine. And my story around change would be different. It's so different. So there's no competition. It's like you're just you with your story, you know, just tell your story. You know, when I go and talk about change in the workplace, I'm basing on my experiences working in a nonprofit organization as a leader. So everybody's story is different, and just I just get so excited when I get to talk about authenticity, because I just think we live in a world right now that works so hard at trying to teach us not to be ourselves, trying to teach us not to show up being present. And I just don't get that.
I get it. You know why I get it? I also consult with, just to protect the innocent, with private schools. And when I go in there, I will meet students who are from various backgrounds, right? Some could come from wealthy background, but they have a struggle because there's a disconnect either at home, right? And that's why I had to revamp, the Lord had to tell me to revamp my platform. It's where you live, where you work, and where you play. See, the living part is what people don't see, and character is what you do when nobody else is watching you, right? And where you work is where you share your expertise, right? And where you play is self-care. And how does that, as constricting, how do I put all of this together, Lord, to make it one thing where I'm not being all these different individuals? It said it's your expertise and your skill set. I can pull on anyone that I need at any time. I have gifted you. And I said, whoa. So from teaching, he said, you have all of these things. And that's why he said to stir up the gift, because there's so many things that I have in you. I will shock you, because every day is new mercies I see. He doesn't believe in recycle, because he can mix you up, put you to sleep, get you up. I said, I want you to do this today because it's inside of you. Dr. Miles said, if he called for something, it's because he deposited in there, you know? So this authenticity, you know, to go back to what you're saying, is being your complete you. And we don't compete. I teach people when I go into the corporate world, I said, stop competing. This sales group, they're always competing. Who is on top? Who is on the chart? Don't compete. I said, authentic people complete each other, because you serve a different part of the pie. Oh my goodness. Rosita, we got to do a part 2, but I know. I respect your time. I can't believe it. Look at the time. Oh my goodness. Listen, let's wrap up with this right here, because I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to me for the first time, we've been having a conversation that we're in the coffee shop, and that's exactly what happened when you get around great people like Rosita Hall. And listen, I want you to understand that this woman is so authentic. She keeps it real. This is not an act. This is how she is 24/7. That's how she is 365 days a year. And this is what authenticity is talking about. Where you're the same at home. I am crazy at home. I run around with my 2 boys and we do dumb stuff outside. I get in trouble with my wife all the time. What are you guys doing? So we're 3 guys. We're the same situation.
Got the 3 guys. Yep, you got it. Got the 3 guys. Yes.
and we look out for her. Ain't nobody gonna touch that woman now.
No, you got. Yeah, I know. That's what I love the most. That's amazing.
You have a triangle around that woman.
No, I know. I love that, the triangle. Yeah.
Oh no! What? You know him? Do you know him? Do you? No.
Yeah, I know.
Check that one out. Bodyguard. But I'm excited. So that's why it's important. Whatever business you're in, remember that success begins at home. In Jamaica, we said, learn to dance a yard before you dance abroad. I know I have to translate.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. It's very true.
Before you go outside.
Yeah.
That's being authentic.
Yeah.
Don't go out there and be successful, and then when you come home, they don't know you. This is the Lord.
That's
from the doctorate program.
Not good. You know what? Life's too short.
It's
life
long.
Life is way too short.
Life is long, but our choices shorten our longevity.
Yeah, that's true. I like that. I love that.
Life is long. You get 120 years. That's what we're guaranteed.
Yeah.
But
our
choices and our preferences, it put a kink in a straight rope. And you know what?
I love that.
We become convoluted and shorten our time.
I love that.
Listen, it's time. Rosita, the conversation was so thick. But this is the time in the show when we do what's called Think, Fire, Shoot. All right? Okay. I hope you're ready.
I'm always ready. I stay ready.
I love it.
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So I stay ready. I always stay ready.
Most people get nervous at this, though. Most people get nervous at this. It's called Think, Fire, Shoot. It's where I give you a series of questions and or words, and it's completely 1 minute, and you got 1 minute, 15 seconds per questions to answer.
So when you ask me something, I have 15 seconds to say a
15
word.
15 seconds, and you get 4 questions, and they add up to 1 minute. That's it.
Okay, so I can just say a word back or 2 words, whatever comes to mind.
You got to feed the people. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, okay. Feed the people. Okay.
You got to feed the people. You understand?
But with just a teaspoon, though.
Now you got to feed the people, okay? And they will take.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's feed the people. Come on.
All right. So here are the words. Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready? So I'm putting on the stop clock right now. And the stop clock is ready to go. Stopwatch is ready to rock and roll. So the first question, it says, people say. So I'll give you the word, and then you got to explain in 15 seconds what comes to your mind. People say. Go.
People say that I never leave a room without adding some light to it.
Woo, Lord have mercy. I hope you're taking notes, guys. I hope you're taking notes. She done that in a fraction of a second. All right. The next one is family and culture. Family and culture. Go.
Love, 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 and love.
4 seconds. Guys, love covers a multitude, and you can fill in the blank. I'm going to leave that by itself. The next one is background, past, present, and future. Background, past, present, and future. Go.
Light, light, and more light.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
That I surround myself with light. I know that light is always shining on me, and I use that light to then shine it on myself, my family, and my community.
Love it. You're a light. And he said, why would you put a light underneath a bushel? You put it on a hill.
Yeah.
I hope you're getting this, guys. Be a light. Okay, so the last one is simply this. Determination, will, guts, obstacle. So what? Determination, will, guts, obstacle. So what? Ready, go.
I just believe that I have everything inside of me to do whatever it is that I choose to do, as long as I'm guided by a light that's bigger than myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the amazing Miss Rosita Hall. So, Rosita, this is what I want you to do. I am going to give you this time. I want you to plug whatever you got. I want you to tell the people what you do, where they can find you. Please, this is your time. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Miss Rosita Hall. Talk to them.
I love what I do. I just feel like every day I'm so super blessed that I have the opportunity to do what I do. And people say to me every day, how long are you going to do this? Are you going to retire? Absolutely not. What am I retiring from? This is just me. Like, there's nothing. This is, by the way, this has never been work for me. This is play. Whenever I'm ready to go out on the platform, I always send a little post on Facebook that says I'm heading to another playground. Like, this has always just been play for me.
Yes.
And so I continue to go on the platform, working with numerous organizations in the nonprofit, in the corporate world, in health and education. I have a book that I'm writing right now that I'm hoping to have ready for 2021. It's called Authentic Leaders Rock. I also have 2 other books which people have access to if they go to my website at rositahall.com, and one's called Against the Wind. The other one is I Found the Answer.
Yes.
I have upcoming speaking engagements. However, those are for private groups, so I don't advertise it because no one can come except those specific companies. But I love what I do, and you can check me out. I'm on all the social media platforms. Please look me up. I'd love to chat with anybody. As Andrew said, I'm always interested in helping young entrepreneurs and young speakers who want to get started. So check me out, and I'd love to do that. And I thank Andrew from the bottom of my heart for this opportunity today. It's been wonderful, and I really appreciate it. Every opportunity I get to speak to people, I'm thrilled.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. I completely hope that you've gotten something from this interview. Hanging out with Miss Rosita Hall was simply amazing. I'm telling you, I can't even sit properly on the chair right now.
Fun.
The information I got. Listen, I am actually listening to her. I became a sponge, and I am writing. So I hope you were listening, and I hope you were ready, and I hope you've taken notes. Listen to me. It is simply amazing. I'm hoping that when all of this COVID stuff is done, we get a chance to sit down and break bread, and then we can do a live conversation. Then it would be amazing. So on this note, I want to thank you guys for joining me. Please go and check us out. Subscribe to our handle there on YouTube. That is Andrew Guy Speaks. And please go check out Miss Rosita Hall. Check out her books and be on the lookout for her new book, And Authentic Leaders Rock.
You got it.
Authentic leader. Be authentic. Be yourself 100% of the time. And you don't have to waste energy being somebody else.
You got it.
Because at the end of the day, you need you. Until then, take care. Rosita. Thank you so much for hanging out.
It was my pleasure. All the best.
I know we went over our time, but the conversation was so simply amazing, right?
Oh, great.
We'll break it up into different slices and then drip it out to the people. But when it's finished, when we send this over to the boys, and they're going to be doing all the work to make sure all of this gets ready, I'll send you the link and everything so you can.
That would be great.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Have a fantastic day.
All right. You too. Take care, ma'am.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Until next time, keep listening, live ready, talk soon.